Hello and welcome everyone back to Dumbass Class with me, the Dyslexic Gamer, as me and my players carry on our Rogue Trader game. So, in the last episode, my flashy avatar thing is not working again. It will. In the last episode, our group of explorers found the Sky Tower settlement. I mean, they'll get more of a gist of this place in this episode, as will all of you. But it is what would seem to be a medieval settlement with a very large and out of place tower in the center. The tower itself is far beyond the architectural know-how of the buildings around it. And it has a large number of heroes that have been carved into the face of the tower itself, as well as a number of their companions, assistants, and so on and so forth. They were greeted by a very enthusiastic archdeacon, who immediately, on noticing that they are a rogue trade, or they have a rogue trader with them, was enthusiastically jumping at the bits to get to know this rogue trader, as he may be their salvation as to getting back to the greater Imperium, or at least getting more individuals here to claim the world. As they were let into said settlement, they got to know one of the original inhabitants. Her name is whatever it is on the other map. And they learnt the one side of the story, shall we say, of the Imperial in the Imperium turning up, the ecclesiarchy kind of taking over this place. And yeah, there's definitely some tension in the air. As they get closer to...
What?
No, okay, it was a glitch. It was a glitch. We're back. We're back up. It's fine.
Yeah. I have the stream open this time, just in case. it did freeze for a second, but it's now back and working.
It did. I know. I've got OBS open, and I saw it go down, then down to zero. I was like, right, stop talking for a moment. This might be a restart. No, it's fine. So, as they were led over to the walls of the Sky Tower, almost all, if not all, the town's residents had gathered, as the sound of a choir could be heard coming through the open gates. They are very grand. These gates are, as I mentioned in the last episode, large enough for two super heavies to go side by side through them. They're enormous. As the group entered, they were greeted by three very elderly priests, each one of them carrying a holy artifact or symbol of their authority. And you were later on greeted by the archdeacon himself, along with a sister of battle whose armor is far more ornate, and she has more rank signifiers on her person. So, as you all stand there waiting, Huni, Cray, and Heinrich. Behind you is also Thomas and Buttermouth, because they weren't told to stand by, so they kind of tagged along. The priests do give them a disgusted look, but they don't say anything, as the archdeacon makes his way down, he would turn to the priests. This is Heinrich, the rogue trader I was telling you all about. He has, of course, special compensation from the Imperium, and these are part of his entree.
Entree?
Entree? No, entourage. Entourage. Like,
Entree.
Hold on.
This is his starter
Hold on.
course.
I know of character to the town called Fish People, but I'm not about to be served.
I am not going to eat the fish, woman.
Oh dear. So, yeah, he points out the priests give you, Heinrich, more looks of adoration and hope, and muttering off, for the emperor, he's sent us for salvation, and mutterings between the old boys. They are old. We're talking 80s, 90s, and they show every sign of it. They seem to almost shy away as the Sister of Battle stands between them and the Archdeacon. She gives you a appraising look, Heinrich. I'm gonna have to let OBS go away for now, as I'm not going to zoom into the map and just look at her name, because that would be all too easy. I'm going to get my notes out. As Sister Elena Kelly. Elena Kelly. Looks back at you, Heinrich. It's a great honor to meet a rogue trader, and particularly one at such time when we could use transportation, or at least word of our situation, to the Imperium itself. She steps in front of Odloff, the Archdeacon, or acting Archdeacon, and she approaches you, Heinrich.
Okay. I'm giving her a short bow. I am more than happy to assist. Of
She
course.
curtsies.
Oh, why the fuck is Albie keep dropping in the night? Albie, you
Tunnel.
alright?
About to tunnel. Or just being on a train. She would no. She would have. I guess she would just bow because they are warriors, and she's not hospitaller. So yeah, I guess she bows, not curtsies. Elena Kelly, acting canoness, I suppose, for this group of survivors.
I see. I'm kind of like a little bit puzzled. Acting canoness?
Do you ask that, or
Yeah. I've never heard of an acting canoness before.
our canoness was killed in the assault 29 years ago? I have taken up her roles, but I refuse to take on her title. It is not for me to place upon myself. And as
Okay.
it stands, we are not of a number great enough to perform our duties as they were. I am the most able-bodied, or I was the most able-bodied of the survivors. Thus, I took on the role of leadership for the sororitas on this world. And primarily that has been defense of this location and education of the local inhabitants. I don't think taking on the title of Canoness is right for the role.
I'll nod. Very well. Loyal. How many? How many do you number? And of what order are you from? I probably no, probably wouldn't if if they're not one of the major orders. I wouldn't have guessed that from their suit alone.
So she will very briefly state that her order is a minor order that was created specifically to come to this part of the Imperium, which she informs you is in Lucky Space. This is probably the first time that you've actually had an Imperial reference point for where you are.
Ah,
So Lucky Space, as far as my knowledge can remember, is on the far west of Imperial space. There's actually an active warp storm that waxes and wanes is the term used in the lore.
yeah.
Where at the moment in this Imperial part of time, it is waning. So a lot more worlds have been popping up. This is a heavily pirated area. In fact, it's a grey zone for the Imperium, whether they own it or not. Technically, they don't, but they kind of think they do.
Imperial was everything in the galaxy. What are you talking about?
Yeah. This is the. It's one of those areas where, for a lot of risk, you can gain an awful lot of reward. And this world in particular was claimed to have been protected from the warp. So when the rogue trader ship requested aid, his family or people on his ship knew the right people to talk to, and a minor ordo of sisters was created for this specific task, or a demi ordo, if anything.
Is this sector anywhere close to my home one? Like I can't remember which one my home one was.
It's in the far east, centralized. That's pretty much all I can tell you. I can't actually specifically tell you what planets or sectors are nearby. I probably could have done at the start of the campaign when I built it all. As it stands right now, yeah, that's about all I can manage, unless there's a note on the world.
What's the sector we're currently called? Lucky Space?
Yeah, Lucky Space.
I can't remember where that is. Yeah, I straight up don't remember where it is. It's in Obscurus though, or Border Obscurus, isn't it?
I cannot for the life of me remember right at this moment. Yeah, the Sisters of Battle would have known whereabouts they were going.
Okay.
So yeah, they're in lucky, or you were in lucky space. Although Heinrich, well, no, lucky spaces are pretty well known. Lore-wise, it's pretty well known within the Imperium, especially with rogue traders, because the numbers of the amount of stories of rogue traders going in there and hitting it rich, large, and the number of rogue traders who go there and perish are, well, they don't get to return to tell their story of woes. So yeah, she can't. Yeah, so she would probably be from the original order of the Bloody Rose. But as they're broken off to do, into their new ordos. Is it from that way, or is it from the smaller ordos breakdown? I can't quite remember which sisters, but yeah, they are back.
No, she may have been in the one of the larger orders initially, and then been moved into the smaller order. The smaller orders are brought up as and when they're needed, and yes, they draw people from it. But
so they brought with them Hospitaller, Famulus, but a lot more battle sisters. Most of the battle sisters were killed or seriously wounded in the Great Charge against the South, the Twisted Ones. But as this little discussion is going on, you can see that Odleth is looking quite perturbed and he's fidgety and agitated. Sister, the ceremony, the sermon awaits. We cannot truly delay and let the God Emperor wait for our devotion. She agrees, but she gives you a bow and a gesture, to follow as the other priests kind of bring up the back. As you I'll put them a bit further back. As you come further in to the group, you'll notice that there is two very large ornate gardens, which are yeah, they hold no real purpose. They're just, there's a number of flowers, manicured flower beds, a hedge maze. It's all very ornate and beautiful looking, but it doesn't hold much purpose. As you come along this very large ornate walkway leading towards the Sky Tower itself, you'll notice on either side the walkway continues, and there appears to be fruit orchards at either side. The building, the fruit orchards, the trees look very old. They're quite large and have a vast amount of fruit forming on them. And there's from where you are on the crossroads, probably about 12 what look like junior priests, young men who are maintaining and picking the fruits. The large sky tower is in front of you, and the vast ornate doors are open, and the sound of the choir is ringing from the entrance. The building, again, is highly gothic fantasy with a little bit of steampunk chucked in there. the lawn in front of the Sky Tower, you can see that there are large spotlights that lean up. They're obviously not on at the moment as it's daytime, and you didn't see them on during the night. But you could see that there are spotlights there, and there are what look like, again, sort of Victorian era lampposts, but rather than a flame, it appears as if they have a glow globe in them. So there are spots of technology dotted around. That at the moment everything still seems very medieval. As you enter into the Sky Tower itself, you'll notice there are a large number of very ornate and master-crafted statues placed around the chamber. There are obviously all these tokens are not actually people or NPCs for you to fight. They are the statues of what you presume, from what you were told, previous warriors. Now the Odloth is like presenting this place as if it's his very own private collection, and he gestures to a number of the statues and brings up remarks as if he's claiming that some of these statues are in fact the statues of the Primarchs. So one of the statues does indeed look like Sanguinius. It is of a human with angel-like wings. He has a power sword in both hands, and his sculpture, at the very least, is that of him almost in mid-flight. It's as if he's jumped up, just left the ground, and is about to go into flight. There's another statue of an individual who is wearing a laurel on his head. He looks as if he is a nobleman, a scholar, a commander, and he has a gladius-like sword on his waist, and his armor is that of a centurion from ancient Rome, only without the helm.
Ah, you mean Ultramar?
Yeah. Heinrich, as Odloff is pointing out these statues, you can indeed see a resemblance, as can Cray. But the number of statues, there's far more than there are Primarchs, and there are women in the statues. Some of them are in heavy armor, some of them are light and nimble. You take note that these are not medieval heroes, as the sculptures are in such great detail. You can actually tell with some of the weapons, when you look at them, that they're power weapons. It's not a gladius, it's a power gladius. It's not a woman archer with a bow and arrow. It's some weird advanced form of bow and arrow. There's an individual who's massive with a huge power hammer, which has a dragon motif to it, and his armor has and that's of course Vulcan, as Odloff sees it. And the females are saints, or unknown saints. On the four corners of the tower, which is vast, there are anterooms. Two of them are open with archways. Two of them, the archways are closed off with doors. You can see in the two archways, there's something technological in the center. And as you come further in, you can see vast sections of the hallway, of the hall, which have signs over it. So over on this side in High Gothic is Skill Training Zone and Skill Teaching Program. They have put in Low Gothic a sign on the floor saying Schooling and Training Area. On this side, it says in High Gothic, Guild Housing and Bank. They've put in Low Gothic housing and dormitory. Housing, dormitory, and cafeteria. And at the front, there is no sign, but that wall, the entire wall, is just a artistic sculpture of warriors doing battle against monsters and what appears to be angels falling down and striking the monsters. And it's done in sections. So on the top section, there are angels falling down. On the middle section, there are individuals fighting, knights fighting monsters. And on the lower section, there are monsters coming up. You are led through into the temple, where you will find it is very temple-like in its creation. Oh, I've taken the temple sign with me. Oh well, never mind. So in the temple area, there are multiple stained glass windows. The first two stained glass windows don't make sense to you because there's nothing in them. It's just stained glass that has been put into a random image of glass. The next two windows on either side show heroes, humans more of, and a great darkness coming. And then heroes with a shining light that shines through the darkness. And then at the very back of the temple, there's two big windows that show again, a titanic battle with small heroes fighting giant monsters. And then with the darkness and the light being shown. And then the end mosaic is a individual that is shining, removing the darkness, and he is almost stood above a hero who stands with his sword and shield raised in victory. You can 100% see how those of the faith, on a stronger sense, would see this as a place devoted to the God Emperor, because it has very similar themes. However, Heinrich, again, when you look around, you can see that all the sculptures are that of warriors, not of Astartes, not of Imperial Saints that you know of, no Imperial Guard. They are just warriors in all different armors. There's no uniform that's shown or regular. For Cooney, this is a bit of an odd place. The architecture would be almost nothing that you've seen of on an Imperial captured world to some degree, with the amount of sculptures not of Astartes or Saints, or and maybe there's a few where you're like, oh yeah, I've seen something similar to that in a human settlement, but Yeah, a lot of these other ones very, very odd. Not very imperial.
They still kind of look like basically shrines the great warriors, right? So I'm just thinking like, yeah, this is very different from what I'm used to, but so far everything has been alien.
And again, Cray, for you, this is
He just
very
dropped out.
odd. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Literally, as you said that, he dropped out.
Oh well. Um, so in the temple, there's obviously an altar at the front where Odleth goes and starts his sermon. There are pews going all the way across on both sides. There is a large group of priests who are in the choir. They all have their hoods up. There is probably 4 lines of 6, and at the start and end of each line, there's another priest there who is not singing. Again, cowl up. You can't see their face. Okay, so you were about to endure a 4-hour-long sermon.
Fuck.
Enjoy.
In fairness, nothing that Heinrich's not used to. It's Imperium standard, basically. It's gonna be very different for Cooney and Cray.
I mean,
Although actually not too different for Cray, honestly.
yeah, we're gonna just be like, oh Jesus Christ, no.
Who's Jesus? And
So, Cray, the
Personally,
architecture is kind of weird to you as well, because there is no... All the sculptures are of random soldiers, and they're not of any Imperial Guard uh, or Astartes design. You would take note, Cray, that a lot of their armor is not medieval in design. It's only been sculpted to look medieval. Each suit of fully enclosed armor is in fact power armor for a human bit, sculpture of power armor. All the weapons are power weapons or of an archaeotech dark age of technology design. But yeah, none of the sculptures are that of imperial saints, primarchs, none of it. Um, and that's the same motif when you go into the temple. None of it's imperial in design for the sculptures, but the stained glass does remind you of images of stained glass throughout the Imperium depicting the god emperor coming to a world. A shining individual who brings light and scares away the darkness and protects the humans. But now you're going to be put into a 4-hour long sermon. Cray, you're fine. You can basically switch off and just do maths in your head. Um, run over data that you've secured. But Cooney and Heinrich, you're kind of stuck. So can I get a... What role would it be to not fall asleep? Or to not like show disinterest? I'm guessing it'd be a
um,
fellowship role, so I'm gonna say charm. So can I get a charm roll or a deceive roll?
can
Or
I
no, that's kind of...
can I argue for the bonus from Envoy of the greater good? for a bonus at this. Because I do have charm, and this is
Sure.
technically the.
I'll give you a
I think
+10 for trying to show that you're interested in the ramblings of a religious lunatic.
let me just check the what was critical what it gives me.
Right, so just a
Okay,
charm test. No, is there +10, +20, or anything like that?
charm +10.
For you, Heinrich, unless you have a skill that would grant you a bonus, no, it would just be flat. Charm,
Dude.
deceive, or what have you.
uh, I don't think I do. Right.
You do refresh your fate points.
Oh my god!
So, yeah.
I rolled a 16.
Okay, so you both succeed. For the next 4 hours, you look you look as if
Or
you're
yourself.
enjoying the sermon. Cooney, you try to follow along as best you can. I'm sure there are some words that you just don't know the meaning of because there are a lot of religious scripture words in there, and there's a lot of, burn the heretic, kill the Xenos. You kind of, well,
I will try to ignore the parts of there being super xenophobic and shit, but I pass. I'm technically,
I mean, you
paying
have
attention.
a helmet on, so I'm not. You're
Yeah, I
just
know, I know.
behind the helmet, like, okay. I will, I
It,
guess, just do a roll for
it, you know,
Muttermouth, and okay, so
you know, kind of like when the pandemic started and everybody started going out with masks, and people would be doing weird faces under the masks because they could. I'm kind of doing that every now and then because I can and nobody can see.
fair enough. So Muttermouth seems to be quite enjoying the oven. What does he looks like it is? Thomas is currently counting like tiles of glass in the stained glass. Trying to do anything he can. Um. So yes, 4 hours of religious nonsense later, the choir kicks up multiple times. Can I get an awareness check?
Yep.
Any
Fuck.
bonuses for us that passed?
No bonuses, but you do get to roll. Cray doesn't,
Fucking hell.
because he's currently
Okay, I got a
I did
doing
12.
the
10 better
maths.
than last time, but I did. Yeah. Fucking hell.
So as the sermon comes to an end, you would hear like Odleth comes back up to the pew and then starts religiously going on about religious nonsense again. Cooney, you notice that the two priests at the end of each row of 6 priests takes their charge, the priest next to them, under the arm, lifts them a little bit, and then they get up, and then the priests next to them get up, and then the priest at the front of the line guides the first priest along, and the priest at the end of the line guides the priest at the back along. And they all do this in synchronicity of one another. The first 2 lines go, then the second 2 lines go, on either side, until all the junior priests have vacated the temple. But with your 4 degrees of success, Cooney, As
I can take
well,
5s.
yeah, plus one for succeeding. Yeah, fair enough. Your 5 degrees of success. As one of the priests in the middle of the row is being led out, he does glance around at the temple. His mouth, Cooney, hangs slack. Drool dribbles from both sides of his mouth. And his eyes look completely black.
Okay. Oh boy. Um. Hmm. Hmm. How how separated is Heinrich from me?
Well, from your how your character's been acting, I imagine it goes Heinrich and Cray are on like one of the front pews, maybe a bit further back, and then you're behind him with Muttermouth and Thomas.
Um. Uh, 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 is Heinrich and Cray are they separated from the other people, or they're basically sororitas and other priests and whatever
There's no
close
one
to them?
else in here.
Okay, I'm
It's
just going to
just you
get close
guys.
to Heinrich and Cray and just whisper what I just saw.
Oh, do I notice it? If
Uh,
uh,
by the
Cooney's gonna whisper
time
this into my ear?
by the time Cooney points it out, the priest's head is back in position with the others, and his face is hidden. But you would notice the fact that the 6 priests in the middle are being led. They're not walking in a motion of I know where I'm going. They're walking in the motion of I'm following the leader. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Are they still singing their hymns, or have they stopped completely?
No, the music has stopped. The hymns have ended.
Right. Okay, I'm a little concerned. I'll not say anything back to Cooney, but I'll just like nod. But I want to keep an eye on those, that row specifically.
I believe all auger rays can, except from poor quality auger rays. Anyway, they can detect. It's just only a good quality one is protected against the effects of the warp. So if you roll your auger ray and you hit the little black button, there's a chance that you will overload it if it detects large amounts of warp energy.
This
Yes.
can I roll Rogue Trader to see if I've heard of anything like this before? Like even just rumors or passing comments about something like this.
Sure, you can do that. There'd probably be a plus 20 because
Plus 20.
you're only going for knowledge of essentially the ecclesiastical cult.
Okay. Ooh, 5 degrees of success in total.
Okay, so with 5 degrees of success,
That's still a success, even if that was a -20 or +20. I'm pretty sure you said +20.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
So your let me just so you've got a best quality orc array, Albie, so you can definitely do the test. So for Heinrich, there are the imperial cult in the imperial religion may have a standard template of how worship is meant to go on, but every planet can technically have a different flavor or variety. On some worlds, for example, they will have servitors that sing the hymns, because a servitor can have its vocal tunes altered to be absolutely angel-like. Whereas other worlds will exclusively use young children, because their voices can hit notes that an adults can't, an
Yeah, and
unaugmented.
castrated males.
Yeah, on other worlds, yeah, there's
Yep.
other
I mean,
things that
the
happen.
fact that priests would be using children, doesn't surprise me.
But again, altar
Oh yeah.
boys do exist in the imperial cult.
Yep.
The
Yeah. Don't
imperial,
forget in Imperial cult is heavily like Catholic inspired at
yeah,
times.
yeah,
So a lot of the stuff from like Catholic history and stuff is including this, including the fact that they kept altar boys at a very young age, and once they reached like the age of 12, they would castrate them if they're going to stay in the church
yeah.
to maintain their choir capabilities.
Now again, every world has its different flavor. Um, so it's possible this is like what Cooney saw was just one individual who is disabled. They're blind, but they can sing. So they're able to do what they can for the God Emperor. And
Trudy the Xeno was pointing and making fun of a poor defenseless crippled person just
sure,
trying to do their job.
I will do that.
Cooney.
I will do that for you, Cray. So we want tech use with a +20. It actually should be a +30 because it's best. We'll put +30.
Yeah, very common for opera as well.
So with 8 degrees of success, Cray, you have got it on the warp setting. You detect no traces of warp of the warp. So it is not warp fuckery that is going on here, at the very least. So the sermon begins to wind down as Odleth, yeah, but essentially goes through the minor. Like, you've already gone through the Emperor's prayer and all a number of other prayers, and he's just giving his final thanks to the God Emperor and those under his care and all of that nonsense. The sister, who was essentially next to him throughout most of the sermon, Cooney, I'll actually give you something on the sister. She was more of staring not at all of you. She probably stared more often than not at Odleth. Just checking his how he's standing, not actually looking at any one given part for long, but just observing him before going round and looking at the rest of the room and then back towards him. But she makes her way down from the podium and gestures to Heinrich to follow her, essentially, as Odlef leaves to an antechamber within the temple. And oh, sorry, I did forget, he did come out in his full, like, he's already wearing very fancy robes, robes of for an archdeacon, but he comes out with more holy artifacts and relics, and currently he's going back with a number of, oh, this is going to sound very bad. He's going back to his anteroom with a load of altar boys to put the relics away. There's no way of saying that in a good in a good way, but oh well.
He's going to put his relics away. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's no real way. There's no good way of putting that anymore.
There isn't. You know. Oh well. So as you come out of the temple, the sister has stood waiting for you all. Odlef will prepare a meal for you all later on. I'm sure he will take his time preparing. By all means, you are an honored guest. Heinrich. I was going to say Master Rogue Trader, but no, she would stick with Heinrich. You may make use of the buildings as you see fit. However, a number of the systems of this place are no longer powered. We must conserve what power we have. As per Odlef's request that the shields be kept on standby.
Sorry, just repeat that again. I got sidetracked by someone.
Many of the systems are not operational, as the shields have been left on standby.
Ah. Does she like motion anywhere in that regard? Does she just like
No, she just
offhandedly mention it, or does
genuinely
she like?
mentions.
Could I? It's more it would she do an like an unconscious motion? Because I can see them on the map, because I'm sure Heinrich doesn't see them. It's like
Yeah,
behind
no.
a
So
closed door or something like that.
you would have noticed them, Heinrich, as
Oh, okay.
these antechambers at the corners are not closed off. There's just a big archway between them. She doesn't gesture to them. She just informs you that there are certain systems that won't function.
Okay.
She gestures over to the housing section and informs you that if you want to rest there, you can. There are more than enough sections. Or if you wish to gain certain knowledges or see how the sisters are doing, training the next generation, she gestures to the school, quote unquote, and training area. But other than that, she basically leaves you to roam free and do as you wish.
Thank you, Sister Kenneth. I will take a look and see how things are around here, and of course, I'd like to speak with you privately at some point, but I'll not keep you if you cannot stay. A quick question though. I'm kind of looking around. Is there many other like serfs and servants walking around here, or is it just like the usual?
You can see a number of children, essentially,
Yeah.
who come and go from different areas. You can see a few young adults who are priests. There are a number of young adult women who are dressed in training garb, as if they've just come from a hand-to-hand training
Right.
exercises, fighting, scholarly,
Okay.
duties. But they're basically coming from east to west and from west to east.
Right. Okay. No, it's just if I'm looking over towards like these power coils and stuff like that, I'm like usually like you would always have like some form of technomat nearby, but if there doesn't seem to be that many or anyone there, I would just bring it up. Like, do you not have much in the way of technomats or anything similar? I know you probably do not have that many in the way of sons or daughters of Mars or Ryza. But if you like, I can request Cray take a look if you'd like.
She looks over at the tech priest, Cray. We do not have any tech priests in this facility. The original inhabitants had a profound knowledge of the technologies that they used.
Yes, quite a few of the people we have met. Among them, there are a strange affinity to natural technomats of sorts, not tech priests or any of the such, just the menial technomats.
For Cray,
Oh my god, Cray just immediately like, hey, you got any lift vehicles?
there you can see a cognite panel. So in one of the ante rooms on the corners of the Sky Temple, there what looks to be a room which again has sculptures of different heroes and so on and so forth. But in the center is a large dome, or a large disc, which has a railing that goes all the way around the side. At the front of it, there's a cognite panel, which you can activate, but you're not over there just yet. That's just on the sides. The Sororitas smiles, and I believe at the moment our mechanics, as they like to be called, are coping with the amount of systems that are showing their age. They are taking actions on the Archdeacon's orders to speed up their numbers, but these efforts are not bearing fruit. They have a device. It is beyond my knowledge. But when I had it described to me, I know of stories and rumors, shall we say, of other sororitas who have heard of such devices within the Imperium. But this one, for whatever reason, does not seem to have a very high success rate. If you wish to know more, I recommend speaking to the mechanics themselves. However, They are currently in an area that you are not allowed to enter. I highly doubt you'll be able to find the entrance, as it were. But I do know that they have free reign. You'll more than likely find them in the local tavern at the end of a working day.
I will make it a very exaggerated like look around, but I will actually take a look.
Nope. Unfortunately, as you look around and glance around, you don't see any hidden passengers or any teleportation devices.
No, as she says, you'll probably not be able to find an entrance. I will like put on. My eyebrows will shift before I put on a very exaggerated like like twist my full lower like upper torso and stuff around, looking around. Huh? Looking up instead of like down, like that kind of stupid shit.
Roll a charm check.
Any bonuses or negatives?
No, we'll go flat.
Hey, she isn't she willing to go for Heinrich? Come on.
No,
The guy deserves a bonus.
She smiles for his playing the fool.
No, I suppose you're right. I can't quite see it. Oh well. If I'm not supposed to see it, I won't. For now.
For some reason, I can really picture. For some reason, Gray immediately looks into a inconspicuous wall and just boops something and it opens.
Just as I'm doing this, like yeah, the fucking canoness just kind of has a little bit of a slight chuckle. Just Cray walks over, pushes like these like 9 bricks on the wall, turns out to be a keypad, and goes, "Find it."
Yeah.
I trace the energy signatures to this keypad.
But in typical RPG kind of standard, she essentially, if there's nothing else that you want to ask her, she hangs around in this area, goes off. You know, she wanders around. She doesn't really have an office that she could be found in.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take her up on her offer to go take a look around the different sections of of where people are training and stuff. So I'm kind of curious how they're teaching, like, because it's not a proper Skolum. It's just their own kind of passing down of things.
Yeah, so
Sorry, pardon me. So it's gonna be it's a very different.
essentially they are trying to increase their own numbers because they're on a world where they're cut off from the Imperium. So they're teaching about the Imperium, and they're also training them to be warriors to fight in the defense when needed.
Yeah.
So it is far more like a sororitas scholam or a commissarial scolum, or a also there's another one. The stormtroopers also, I believe, taught in scolums. Like they're actually trained, like they're picked out from orphans, and then put in their designated positions. But yeah, whereabouts would you like to go first?
I'm gonna take a look at here.
Okay, so as you come over to the school training section, I do take you over to another map.
Oh,
You have, however, seen this map before, so I'm not technically going to hide anything as I hide everything. Bloop.
Hey, I remember this map.
hey, this is familiar.
Yes, I've got to that point where I don't have enough schools and temple buildings and so on and so forth.
I'm Pretty sure one of us jumped through a window in one of these places.
You did. You did. So as you
You also
enter,
shot this place the fuck up.
you did. You did indeed. We'll see if that happens again. So as you enter, it's very much a Hogwarts style library and teaching area. So there is a grizzled Sister of Battle at the entrance. She's through the magic of gaming, they've all been informed of who you are and what you're doing here. You'll notice that she has no legs. And she's missing a number of fingers on her right hand. But she signs you all into a guest book. And as you enter, you'll notice that there's a good 50, 60 children, maybe a few more. At least there's 50, 60 children in here. Again, maybe a few more because there is an upper level. They're all sat down at pews. They all seem to have data slates, but you'll notice that the pews themselves, or not the pews, the library desks that you get, they all seem to have data slates or cognates in them, but the children aren't using them. The children are all using data slates, and the sororitas are all reading from data slates. But there are a large number of books on the walls. Heinrich, as you go in, you can read in High Gothic. So this is a law place. If you, for example, if you don't have primitive weapons training, this is a place where you can get primitive weapons training. If you don't have solid projectile training, this is a place where you can pick up solid projectile training. You can spend some time here reading a book about the said weapon, and then you go into the training section where you are able to train with mock weapons on, if you're doing melee weapons, it will be training dummies, which are technically robots. They're just programmed to do, set moves and so on. They are quite basic. In the Imperium, normally they would use servitors, but here they use robots. And then there are shooting ranges for any ranged weapons. This will only teach you weapons under the basic weapons, but you can do any basic. So whether that be basic heavy weapons, basic flame weapons, so on and so forth. Okay. It just doesn't give you exotic weapons training. Cooney, you are the only.
Yeah, this place is a treasure trove for me.
Yeah, you're the only one, the outlier here, because technically it's all special weapons training, Xenos humanity. But yeah, essentially this will grant you all the basic weapon training.
I actually get basic weapon training. Hang on, I do have basic weapon training, don't I?
So in some cases you'll have like universal pistols.
I do. Okay, yeah.
In other cases you will have las or so on.
I have universal basic and a universal pistol, but I only got universal basic recently. I think it's like tier 4. I get universal basic. Everything else is melee weapon and pistol up till then.
The only exception is actually power weapons. It will teach you weapon training power.
Ooh, okay. I already have that. Universal's far too fucking useful.
Wait, can I get universal basic gear? No, right?
Universal's all of them basically. So universal covers solid projectile, melta, plasma. all that good shit.
Yeah, I don't think it teaches you universal, so you would need to acquire them. They are, however, cheaper to acquire from here than how you
That's fair.
normally acquire. So here it's only 200 rather than the 300.
I'll actually wait to ask these questions after the session, so it's a bit easier. But yeah, I like this place.
So yeah, this section will basically teach you weapons training and melee training of whatever you, to a degree, need. As you go upstairs, you'll notice that a lot of the areas are blocked off with a rope, and it says like restricted. The sisters might give you a dirty look if you look there, but all it's really is fluff books on the world. They're not going to teach you anything. It's just fluff for what used to be here.
Okay.
Yeah, all the sisters of battle here are all grievously wounded in some way or another. We're talking like the one at the front who's missing both her legs. We've got missing arms. You know, one of the sisters is missing essentially half her face. Another sister is missing a hand and a leg, and yeah, they're all kinds of fucked up and not really battle field ready, capable.
Dude, this place is awesome for Grade 2. I mean, think about it. If we get enough material, we can make, pots for these people.
That is quite possibly a possibility if you should happen to find enough cybernetics. Is there anything else you would like to examine, look at, or poke at in the school library training area?
Are there some of the new recruits in here? Are they like attending at some of the books? Or the books, the data slates?
At the moment, it would appear as if most of them are kind of at like 13, 8 to 13 kind of age groups.
Okay.
The children that you saw, or the teens that you saw before, were more kind of the
upper kind of
Yeah.
class, with a much more. They've been doing it for a bit longer, kind of thing.
But again, you would notice that out of the 60 or so children that are in here, there's a lot more girls than boys.
Yeah, I figured as much. It's sororitas. Do they have any kind of reaction as to when we come in?
The children do. There's that typical murmured whispering, poking, prodding. Some of the kids, it's kind of like a wave as it goes further along through the library, as the children take more and are drawn to your attention or made notice of your presence. And, they're staring, they're talking, they're doing what kids normally do. As the sisters come along and, shush them and get them back to their studies.
Okay. I'll if any of them are kind of looking at me while I whisper and I notice, I'll give them a nod and a grin as I'm just looking around and taking a look at some of the I almost said novels, some of the books and data slates and stuff. I'll not like take like the books out of their hand or whatever.
No, so
But,
the books are essentially not being used
Mhm.
at the moment. So if you go over to the bookshelves, you can easily see, take a book down and go through it. When you go past children, like look over their shoulder, you can see the data slate. And essentially, it's Imperial primers. It's Imperial.
Okay.
The stuff that God, I forgot what the word would be.
Novitiate.
Yeah, a novitiate would have, but I'm thinking more of like if a group from the ecclesiarchy were sent to a new world, they would bring all this knowledge with them about the God Emperor, how the Imperium works, and that knowledge with them, so they can immediately
that's
start
basically
converting the the new inhabitants of the Imperium. I imagine the Ecclesiarchy of War strike whilst the iron's hot, kind of, whilst they're enraptured with us coming down from the sky, hit them hard with the Bible, essentially.
Bibles to bash them with, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh. Am I coming through quiet, by the way, at any point in this, or am I still sounding all right?
You did get quiet just now, but I think that's because you're going back.
I did kind of lean back a little bit, but like earlier, was I any quiet at any point, or
Nope. You're
okay?
good.
No, you've been fine on my end, and when I look at the OBS, you're constantly in the yellow, not quite hitting the red, which is around the perfect area.
Okay.
Give us a screen, buddy.
Ah!
God damn it. Fucking update, go away. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to look at in the training halls? I mean, this is probably more of an area that you skip time in. It's, I'm going to spend a week to learn this new technique and train.
She's gonna spend a lot of time in here if she's able to.
I'll take a look at some of the books and like give a quick scroll through them, and I'll look over what Cooney is reading and like maybe point a couple of books that she might be interested in towards her.
So Heinrich,
sure.
as you are picking up the books, you would notice that they are not of traditional paper. They are actually made of a plastic type, fake paper. They are incredibly old, and you imagine if you were actually holding a paper book of this age, it may not actually survive turning the pages.
Yeah.
But
I'm actually more surprised it's not vellum or something like that for most of these fucking books, because ecclesiarchy and their fucking extravagance.
No, so these books are actually from the world itself. So as you look at the titles, none of the authors you've ever heard of. The illustrations are all... So essentially, because you're going to find this out at one point. So this place here is what we as RPG players would consider a raid location. So you come as a player in a LARPing world, or a world where it has lots of hunting, where you as a rich aristocrat or someone of a large amount of money can come and fuck around in power armor and slay monsters and be the hero.
Yeah.
So this area in particular is designed that monsters come here, fight, and you can go out and fight the monsters. And if you kill enough monsters and complete enough quests, you go onto the tower. So this is just an area to teach you how to use some of the weapons here. So that's why they're all plastic, fake paper books. Because technically they're all ancient in age.
Yeah, they're like 10,000 years old, if not more.
Yeah, and as you can see that the books have aged massively, as they have that concertina type look to them. But the Imperium would also still have this type of paper technology. This wouldn't be something that was lost to them. So Heinrich, you've seen newer books printed in the same fashion, and they're probably like uplifting primers. It's probably that's what they're made out of. So that if a guardsman does, if you can resalvage them from the battlefield and give them to a new guardsman, and the ink isn't smudged or anything, and you can clearly see how old they are just because of how worn they are, but they're still perfectly legible. However, they are written in a proto-High Gothic, so some of the words are a bit weird, but you can easily put it together what it actually means. But yeah, the children, or at least the children in this class at the moment, none of them are using any of the books. They're all using data slates, which are Imperial made data slates as well.
I don't think I've spoken to the canonists this entire time, but looking at these children's books, could we? I'm just going to approach Heinrich or Cray or both and just ask, is it possible to get every single book from this library into one of those tablet thingies? Data slates?
Possible.
Cray gives a beep of negative, and then remembers you don't speak. None of you speak
Beep boop.
beep boops. So
Yes, beep boop.
he
Beep boop
puts
actually,
in
yeah, beep boop
in low
does.
Gothic that a standard data slate could only hold 3 or 4 books. A good quality one can hold more, and a best quality can hold far more, but you'd need a lot of data slates for the books.
Unfortunately.
So if you are a dune with the library, you can turn about face and head towards the housing and bank area. So I will shoot Heinrich over to the other side. Gives Kelly a wave as he makes his way. Also, Muttermouth and Thomas are following behind. They're kind of like gobsmacked at the library and so on and so forth. They're just keeping a low profile because the sisters don't seem to like them. Lots of reaching for bolter weapon that's no longer there when they see them. So as you go into the housing area, so this is very much like a guild building when you go in. So you go in and it's a large hall like area. There's a big counter at the far side. There's staircases that go up, and there's doors that lead onto hallways that go off to the sides. There are low Gothic signs and high Gothic signs. The high Gothic signs all say, the low Gothic, yeah, well, the signs basically say the same thing, kind of. So on the ground floor, it's all single dormitories, or small party dormitories. And that's on the left. On the right is a large cantina and drinking hall. So when you look in there, very much Viking medieval hall. Yeah, large tables, big fireplaces, and a lot of people eating. Up the staircases, it says guild housing, and leads off to corridors, which, you haven't gone down. Just leads off to corridors, and at the front, where the at the far wall is a large sign, ornate, that says Guild and Player Bank. But in low Gothic, it says reception.
reception?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's a hotel. Kind of thing.
That's what the Sororitas have kind of seen it as.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone sitting at the reception?
As you go over to the reception, it appears to be dusty and unused. Behind is a large board that has different. Well, Heinrich, it's a bit odd because they are very dusty, but it says like collect a name, and apparently it wants 25 of this plant. Another one is asking for pelts of an animal. Another one is asking for things to be slain. But they're incredibly dusty and do not seem as if they've been
Can I get
used.
behind the reception real quick?
As you go up to the reception, you can't fit through the... Oh, sorry, I probably didn't even mention. So there are wooden slats that come down. Basically like bars. Yeah. So you can't get through them. As you go around to the door looks as if it's made of wood, and it should give, but as you push on it, it is solid and doesn't want to move. As you go back to the counter, your servo spider jumps off your shoulder and onto the counter.
Okay. When I look through the slats in the reception area, does it look like a proper... Is it like... Is it something similar to what IRL me would describe as like the fantasy job board kind of listing thing? Or is it more akin to like a hotel kind of thing we would have seen?
Fantasy job listing.
Fantasy job listing, okay.
And as you look through and down, you can see that behind the counter looks like a Cognite panel.
Could I ask the Spooder Skull to slip in there and, one, take a look around, and two, connect themselves to the Cognite panel?
So it looks up at you, gives you a little salute, and goes
here.
It goes up to the
Hello.
Hello. He has arrived.
I will be right back.
Ears out.
Sorry, what was that, Albie?
I will be able to listen. Oh, but I'll be right back.
I hope I didn't blow your ears out.
No. I had you nice and low to begin with. So,
an experienced player.
So as the servo spider jumps down onto the counter, it goes under. So the part of the counter which is clearly designed for you to pass over items and have items passed back to you. Can't remember what it's called, but there's clearly that built in. The servo spider goes under there, and it turns around and faces the group. It then puts its arm tips, its hands, into grooves just out of sight. There's a flickering in the lights, and a few children, essentially, and the odd priest that's walking through this area does stop and look around. There's a whirring of some energy building up. The lights flicker a bit more in this area, and a hologram appears. The hologram is of a young woman who is in a uniform which is very much isekai anime, not a real medieval uniform whatsoever, but looks like a cross between a clerk and a maid, appears and welcomes you to the Sky Tower and asks for your player registration.
Out of character, you've come to a weeaboo furry place.
No, it's a human. It's a human. I didn't say anything about a furry.
It's a weeaboo furry planet. It all makes sense now.
I mean, the most important question about the uniform is how much boob.
So it's very conservative in the outfit. However, the model of the woman is very ample in size. Big old boobies. Um,
Big old badonkadonks.
she asks you for your player registration. A panel opens up on your side, Heinrich, and you would note that the servo skull's eye begins to pulsate.
Oh.
The panel shows a display which shows an ID form. The ID form begins filling out. So your image appears on the ID form. Player name is your name appears. Your class gets filled in as swashbuckler. A backstory appears for you that you are a shipwrecked noble who has been lost on a island far from his homeland. The only section that gets left unentered for you, Heinrich, is your player character name, which flashes green.
Can I look at the thing?
Spider Skull
Look back
just
at
ruined my character sheet for me.
Basically, yes. With the knowledge that it's heard about you, it has made a backstory.
Jesus Christ. You know what? For shits and giggles, am I able to type into it?
Yes, you can put in a name if you so wish.
I'm going to type in Casper.
So Casper is accepted.
Really?
As the
Gotta go for it. Might as well.
As the hologram.
I mean, indeed, why not?
As the hologram registered Casper as a new adventurer to the guild.
Oh my god.
So on the ID card, it flips around to where it says it shows your image, Heinrich, and it says like your name and so on. It says starport entry date. That's left blank. And the hologram twitches and phases in and out as it goes past that information and just essentially says like error, data not found. Before switching back to its normal kind of programming, a dog tag is presented to you, Heinrich. The dog tag will say Casper, adventurer, swashbuckler, rank C.
Hey.
After Heinrich is done, can I make a character sheet for myself as well?
So the hologram does not recognize anyone else.
It's because of the Spooder Skull.
Even if I interface with the cogitator?
So you can attempt
I don't
to.
think you can reach it.
There's a panel that's opened up by you, Heinrich.
Oh, okay.
So you can attempt to once Heinrich is done. So the hologram essentially tells you that this ID card or this guild pass grants you access to a number of facilities. You can get lodging and basic food for yourself and any registered followers. Brings up a little display sheet where a registered follower is already the Spider Skull. However, where it says the Spider Skull, there's an area that it should have more data, but that data is just corrupted. You can't see what it's meant to say.
Of course.
And then underneath it has slots where you can add on other followers. The hologram registers the two Fettits that are behind you, and asks you if you want to register the Fettits as your followers.
Does it mention them as Fettits?
It does mention them as Fettits.
Oh, okay. I look curiously at that, but I will enter them in, yes.
So as they're entered in, a brief description comes up on them. And so your tag was of silver colored. Their tags are of copper. And again, it grants access to services within the Sky Tower, as well as access to the bank. If Cray or Cooney want to be added on, the hologram does motion to two other biosignatures not classified as Fettits. Are these your companions, or are these new adventurers?
I'll leave it up to them. If you want to sign it as if you want to try and sign it as an adventurer, go ahead. If not, I'll sign you up as a companion.
I don't want you to die alone because you signed up to an SS class adventure. So sign
Hey,
me
don't
up
worry.
as well.
It's just a goblin fight, so it's gonna be fine.
It's a goblin fight. I'll sign up as as an adventurer too. I want to see what it says about me.
So Heinrich, you denote that they're not part of that they're separate adventurers. So it goes through the process and tells you that you can add on companions when you need, and that you can access guilds if you can be added to a guild, or if enough party adventurers wish to form a new guild, then they can. Basically clears up your registration, and then Craig kind of moves you to one side and steps forwards, and the hologram flickers and requests your ID.
I think I provide my ID? Question mark.
So you don't have an ID for this world's entertainment sector. So you look at the panel that you've been given, Cray. There is a slot where you could interface with the machine if you wish.
I will interface with the machine.
Okay. So as you interface with the machine, you are confronted with a complex security code, essentially.
I do wonder if there is something like protection for interfacing with machines. Since
There
basically
is not.
putting your brain into it.
There is not. It's why it's very dangerous for tech priests to connect to corrupted machinery.
I mean, I don't know. Have the Mechanicals made a brain condom?
No,
I don't think so.
There are in the fluff. There are ways to protect yourself. In the games, there are not. As far as I'm aware.
Well, you can make.
It's
can
called
attempt to
bribing.
recreate it if you know it. But
it's called bribing the DM with a bottle of whiskey. Or
it's called using servitors as a barrier.
Yeah, you can run yourself through other systems. So the system blows up before you do, and you can disconnect in time. In the fluff, I've listened to multiple books where the tech priests create a program in their head. So whenever they connect to a machine of dubious, where the fuck did this come from? Is it corrupted? Plug yourself in. And the program that you run first gives you that moment to, disconnect or purge the machine or so on and so forth. In the game, it's not actually in there. But as you connect, it's not scrap code that attacks you. It's just a security program. So I will need a security roll.
Can I use a tech use roll? Question mark.
Unfortunately, you can't. You do need to use security for this one. Hang on a minute. Let me just double check that Rogue Trader is slightly different.
I mean, I think it was fall under tech use to use a cipher cracker. I assume that's what you want me to do, to crack the cipher.
The Rogue Trader's weird, dude. It could be fucking everything else in between.
Yeah, so I think let me just check security as well.
Also, where is security? I can't seem to find it.
I
Oh, no,
think
that's-
it's an advanced skill.
Yes, it's an advanced skill and it's agility. So
Yeah,
E?
if I remember correctly, that it's one of the really fucking stupid things. So I remember this during.
Oh no, sorry.
no,
So
Turkey Hunger.
it's for primitive locks. It says if you're using tools or equipment to bypass a lock or other security system without using a multi-key. So hang on, mechanical locks and other
apparently,
physical locks.
if
Yeah, it's physical.
in the sheet you could actually check it. It says that the security is used to bypass mechanical locks and other physical security
Yeah,
systems.
security
This differs
sys-
from many systems.
It's security system, special use of tech use.
Yep.
It's plugged in. It's a mechanical system.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Does mention that codes are tech use? Question mark.
Yeah, codes are tech use test.
so yeah, it would be a tech use test. There is a -30 for this.
Damn, I would have a 17% chance of getting it.
The special use system, security system, tech use.
I don't have my sheet with me and I can't recall if I have any bonus to cracking.
The only thing
What
I
does the
know.
calculus logi do again?
I'm just having a look at your sheet to see if it loads.
I mean, I have a calculus logi upgrade, so I don't know if anyone could quickly check what that cyberware does.
What's the name of it?
Calculus logi.
That one. I thought that was actually
that's
going to.
That's the GPS in my head.
Oh, hang on. Did I click on the wrong one? I did. That one.
Yeah,
I thought that was the one that allowed you to. Oh,
yes,
you didn't put the description in. Okay.
Indeed. That's
Oh, you are on your sheet. Okay, I can close that down then.
Yes.
This is the one time I don't actually have the books open, so I don't believe. I think that gives you a plus on logic tests and law rolls. And I don't believe there are any bonuses. The only one I can think of would be a +10 for you actually being connected to the machine.
Can we give him words of encouragement? Give him, a back rub or
Well, I can
just
yell at him to do
moral
well.
support.
You can do it!
So
yes, the calculus logi is a lore thingy.
yeah, I think you get a +10 because you're actually interfacing with the machine. And Heinrich's just given you a +10 for you can do it.
It's like a pat on the shoulder and it's like, don't worry, you got this. He's just kind of very briefly explained, like, it is a very difficult cipher and shit he has to crack, and I'm not paying attention to it at all because I'm too busy looking at that blue medallion. And he fucking gets 8 degrees success anyway, because he rolled a fucking 3.
Jesus Christ.
So, Cray, as you look at
Probably
the
the password
security
was
code,
simply 1234.
Because you're actually connecting to it, it's far more like in fuck. What's one?
I managed to read out the password that it expects because it sends it through and encrypted over the cable. or some shit
It's
like
no,
that.
it's far more like Shadowrun, where you've connected into the Matrix. So that's how it's always described in the fluff. When you connect into a machine, you're actually seeing the code in front of you. Your cybernetic eyes or implants have allowed you to see the code, and it's like swirling round you at the moment and doing all sorts of funky shit. It looks quite complicated at first glance, Cray. As I mean, it's archaeotech. It's ancient in creation. However, the Adeptus Mechanicus, although it goes against what the fluff says, have actually created their own mathematical formulas, which are more advanced than archaeotech formulas, called hexagrammatic maths, essentially. And it's how tech priests are able to converse in binary at a far higher rate than
It's literally
traditional.
arcane mathematics,
Yeah.
in a sense.
So whilst the security system and the code in front of you is incredibly difficult, when you apply modern tech priests hexagrammatics to it, it very quickly begins to unravel, as you literally have the language of the machine essentially at your disposal, rather than just coding, which is what they had in archaeotech times. It takes you surprisingly long when in the machine. However, outside for the rest of the party, you're only really tapping the air and moving things around for maybe 5 minutes or so. They will see the hologram shimmer and shake and distort, and the lights begin to flicker again. Cray, I would like one more tech use, special use with security. Only this time there is a -20, but with your being plugged in, it's just a -10 again. Okay, would you like to keep
I'm
it
going
or
to-
re-roll?
I'm going to reroll it. I want the character sheet. And we're almost at the end of the session anyway.
We are.
Ooh! Ow.
I
I'll
don't
yell at
like
them to
him
do
like-
well. Do better!
So that's a 0.
Yeah.
There we go. So with 5 degrees, you are
Should have
able
the first time you went
to...
past.
With 5 degrees, you're able to extract a blank, essentially a blank character sheet, and you're able to implant it into the system. You got 5 degrees, so you'll probably take note, Cray, that another character sheet has been implanted in a similar fashion, only it's not been done quite as well as how you've implanted yours. You still don't have, like, you attempt to gain a proper character sheet, but the system is cut off from the main system that would give you all of the character sheet. So you end up with a very similar one to Heinrich's. So you're able to, and it would be quicker for you to write up all your data now rather than doing it on the data pad. So essentially the group sees the hologram go into exactly what it did with Heinrich, only there's no answers coming from Cray. Just again, it begins filling out, much like how it did with the servo spider. Only you see Cray's hands like twitch and move and so on. And within probably about 4 minutes, maybe less, Cray is he's disconnected from the machine. And
While I'm at it, could I also have made the beginning of the sheets for Kuni?
So if you want to attempt to make another character for Cooney, I'll need a -30 tech use again, so you'll have to do the process again. So
I take a look at Heinrich.
It will be a -20. If you want to disconnect, then look at Heinrich again and give him a pleading look.
I can't move my head while I'm plugged in, I assume.
No, you normally disconnect to
Yeah, I'll do it with a -20 then.
Okay, so you do indeed get another character sheet. Can I get another one with a -10 because you've got a +10 to it already? Because it would have been a -20, but you've already got a +10. So okay, so it's not as well done this time, Cray. You break through the security to get the character sheet, but then implanting it is not quite as crisp as yours or Heinrich's. But another character profile comes up. If you want to fill that out, Cray, you can, or you can essentially leave it blank for Cooney.
I leave it blank for Kuni to do. I make
Okay.
Make a short beep and just enter it in the name Kuni or something like that.
So for what the group see is the hologram goes through the new character interface bit. Cray doesn't really say anything as his character sheet fills out and so on and so forth, and a silver tag is presented to him. He takes it, goes to walk away as the hologram turns to Cooney and, "Greetings, new adventurer Cooney. Would you like to fill out your guild form?" as the guild form opens out to Cooney.
Yeah, I'll fill out mine too. No, I don't think Cooney would change her player name. She's just gonna call the player name, Cooney.
Again, you're all given the same spiel that you can access jobs at the request board. You can get food and so on and so forth. You basically have access to it. The individuals who are just walking through are kind of gobsmacked, and some of them do stop and stare at the flickering hologram that's appeared, and the individuals who are talking to it. Before basically saying, if you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. I'm here night and day to assist you in whatever way I can. And then the hologram looks as if it turns round and walks off, but it walks off into a pool of light and then disappears.
Question. After we've done our character sheets, how fast would it be to dig up the information of the other sheet that was hacked in? Like the one I found before?
That was Heinrich's. Yeah, that was Heinrich's sheet that was added by the servo spider.
I see.
Yeah, you just noticed that out of all the information there for sheets, those ones could clearly looked as if, or at least the servo spiders, you could tell that it had been implanted. It was not an official character sheet. Yours was done a lot better, and Cooney's was done a bit worse. But yeah, you can just tell that they had been implanted. Perhaps if there was a GM or a moderator who checked things over for cheaters, they might notice. But as far as you're aware, there aren't any around.
Now, are they?
I mean, I need to figure out how to get root access.
So, from what you could tell, Cray, is it appears as if the computer here wanted to get essentially your passport information from the starport in the central city. And that would have you arrived on world at this time on this ship, your holiday, your visa, let's say, is for this many months, and then that data would have been put on the back of your card. None of you have any of that because none of you arrived through the starport. But the data, when it tried to access it, it just couldn't access. Just data request denied or data request not received.
Okay. Ooh. Oh. I will be right back.
Okay.
So you all have access to the amenities here that others would not have access to, as well as the bank. What is the bank? You have no idea.
Can I find any information on a fac or something like that?
On your...
On this cogitator unit, like a sort of manual.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
So it would more than likely kind of guide you to going to your quarters. And if you kind of follow the prompt and you go towards your quarters, you'll see that as you go past each door, some of the doors have had the doors have been broken into. The rooms have been broken into, and they have new doors fitted. Other rooms, you'll notice have the original doors and locking systems. And when your group gets to 3 rooms, you'll notice that a light around the door goes green. If you try to open any door that doesn't go green, the door won't open. If you each go into your individual rooms, you'll find a very basic room to stay in, as well as a... what's a TV called in 40k? I can't remember now.
Cogitator.
The pick viewer?
Oh, yeah, pick
viewer?
Feed?
I think it's a pick viewer. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So as you sit down on the bed, a pick viewer turns on. The pick viewer basically runs over the promotional video for this area, which is what you'll all end on for this episode. As the camera comes in, zooming into a aerial photo of the Sky Tower. You'll notice the village has definitely grown in size. The farming fields and so on have all grown in size. There wasn't a huge graveyard originally, funnily enough. There was just a small graveyard attached to the village. And over the image, the video, it says only true adventurers test their skill to reach the Sky Tower. And then there's, for each one of you, it'd be slightly different depending on how good your TV has lasted over the years. For some of you, the music is very, like, the speakers have gone. For others, there are pixels in the screen that have blown, so certain parts are just black the whole time. And it will basically just show, there's this basically game intro for is this aerial footage goes through the medieval town. Get your armor repaired, meet the locals, and most of the locals are human and fetid. There's a lot more technology going around, like the shop vendors you can clearly see have power weapons for sale and power shields and las guns and all sorts of different weaponry for sale. You didn't really see any of that when you came in. And then it will show like at the end, it shows this big battle where basically T-Rexes come out of the forest and begin attacking
Jesus fucking
the
Christ.
settlement, and it shows
Do I
heroes
reckon?
jumping out and riding beasts, and fettits coming along behind them, like reloading weapons and passing. It's like, get your very own assistant to help you on your way, and they're chucking grenades to the hero as he's tossing grenades, and another one's reloading an RPG, and RPGs have been fired.
Hang on, do Thomas and Buttermouth see this?
Well, they're in
Yeah, sure.
your room with you, Hybrick, so they're kind of seeing this.
So what do they think when they see this?
They know their ancient role. Like, they're not. The promotional video doesn't show any fettits being abused.
Yeah.
And in fact, it shows a lot of footage of like the hero with a T-Rex dead behind him, and he's slapping the back of his fettit. However, most of fettits that are being shown are not Thomas and Muttermouse variant. They're not. There might be a couple of fox ones, but most of them are bull or pig, or they're big brutish things that can carry a lot of equipment, and a little bit like how you the anime, how you pick up girls in a dungeon or whatever it's called.
The magic.
Domachi, there you go. They're picking up loot or picking up valuable pieces. Like there's another part where the fettit is ripping off the horns of a big monster that they fought, and it then swaps to footage of the adventurer selling the horns and getting a load of money. And then it's basically saying about they will assist you with collecting your loot, with helping you in fights, or and then there's one which again you were told about by the shield sister, where there's a bit odd. You can have them fight by your side, and there's a big like wild boar looking fettit who's in heavy plate with a big weapon, and the human stood next to them is a much smaller, slender individual who's using knives.
Okay.
And it's basically this big promotional LARP fantasy arena where you can actually fight monsters and live a fantasy adventure for it comes up with a price, but the price you have no idea what is. Who knows? And that is where we end this episode.
What are dollars?
Question
Here's a
mark.
dollar.
Would I recognize the
$1 a dollar.
species? Would I recognize the species that they write on from the database?
So yeah,
said
you
it.
would notice that some of them are riding essentially horses. A traditional knight in shining armor riding it's not a normal horse. The size of its muscles would tell you that it's been specially bred. But then others are riding lizards. Others are which is a legitimate mount in Oni War, I'll have you know.
Wait, not Grox?
No, there's a lizard that you can ride in Oni War.
Oh yeah, no, I know that much, but like not actual Grox lizard, but an actual other lizard.
Oh yeah, no, these aren't groks. These would be other lizards.
Hang on, I have it here.
So, for example, in the promotional video, there's one that breathes fire. There's another one that shoots a splodge of acid. Another one that shoots. It seems as if genetic augmentation of your favorite mount was not something that was out of question.
Is there a wizard lizard?
No, there's no lizard.
All right, fair enough.
Is there something that resembles a Groot?
No. Maybe of the monsters, but they're not crude. They're just abominations. bred specifically for the entertainment of humanity.
Oh, the Axe. Athyax? Is one of them?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah. They're fucking creepy.
So yeah, there's quite the fantasy raid settlement town motif that goes on with this place. Were there any other questions about this very weird world that I've made?
I mean, when is your OC free insert going to come? Sorry, this.
Like, look, I will not make out as if this kind of thing did not happen. Humanity is degenerate, but there's nothing in the promotional material.
I was more thinking about. Wait, are you still streaming? No, right?
Sorry, what was that?
I think we're still live.
Yeah, no, we're still live, dude.
Well, I will phrase it like this. I was more thinking about when will we see your insert?
What are you talking about? We already saw that. It's one of the furries, obviously.
Yes, but which one?
So I would probably the countryside is more the purer. We go out to hunt, to fight. The main city, well, I'll leave that to your imaginations. So yes, with that knowledge passed on to you, my lovely viewer, of use your imaginations for degeneracy when it comes to the capital city of this planet. Yeah, that's where we'll end this episode. So I certainly hope you've enjoyed and are looking forward to future episodes to come, where I think next time we'll be on our normal days.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope you've enjoyed. Take care, everyone. And as always,
Yes.
bye-bye for now.
Bye.
See ya.